Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the daily market update video. And this is where I do analysis on the S&P 500 as well as QQQ. And we'll be looking at the 6 big tech stocks as well. That will be Nvidia, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, and Google and Microsoft. We'll be looking at those because those are the biggest weightings in QQQ. So they will be moving QQQ, give us a better understanding of how QQQ is going to move in the next couple of days, as well as if QQQ moves, then obviously it's going to be dragging down SPY or up or down SPY because the tech sector is roughly 30% of S&P 500. So, all right, let's get into it. So before we get into it, I'm going to take a quick look on the economic data. So if you have seen this already, if you just skip to your ticker, because I put the timestamps in the comments below, you can just click on it and it'll jump right to that stock ticker symbol that you want to look at. So the fear and greed index came down a little bit. It was at 82, but it's still extreme greed. So when it's extreme greed, we want to be a little bit careful playing too bullish. Obviously, they are always bullish, and bearish plays intraday on any given day. So the best thing we can do as a trader is to play both sides, and we just got to be cautious on the bigger picture where currently the side is. So on the bigger picture is an extreme greed, and as well as the AI and sentiment data shows that from the past 2 weeks, you can see this is 44% bullish to 45%. We'll get this data again this Thursday, and especially going into the third week is my concern. So if we're going sideways right now, we'll take a look at the chart in a second, then it could be a distribution zone where big money are selling and holding it sideways, and then after it will drop. And economic data, there's not a lot this week. It's mostly just Fed's talking, and Jerome is talking, I think, on Wednesday. So that's what the only Fed that people really listen to anymore. And if Fed hikes, same thing. Hike next month and hold for the rest of the year. All right, let's get into the charts. So let's take a look at QQQ first. So QQQ on the 4-hour time frame potentially could be a head and shoulders. It's not a really beautiful one, but it's essentially the psychology of a head and shoulders pattern. It's a bearish pattern. It just means it's a going from an uptrend to a downtrend. So you can see this is the move up, this is the pivot, and now this continuing of its uptrend. So once that head forms, big move down, and then it bounces, forms that right shoulder. That means, and this is the neckline, if we break that prior pivot low, breaking the neckline, it becomes a downtrend, right? Because this is the initial move, and this is the pivot, and it breaks prior low, so it becomes a downtrend. So essentially the psychology is just going from an uptrend to a downtrend for a head and shoulder pattern. It could potentially shape up into tomorrow if we do get a drop from this around this level and breaking that prior neckline here. So as well as let's take a look at the longer time frame so we can see here. So on the daily time frame, the daily consolidation is on its way. A consolidation just means today's candle closed below yesterday's candle's low. So yesterday's low was 367.48, and you can see we broke through that today. So that means just consolidation is on its way. And we don't know exactly, nobody knows exactly how deep of a consolidation is going to be, but we know that the prior pivot here is right here on the prior consolidation. So this was a move up, and that was the prior consolidation forming the low of that pivot. Now we have one move up, and now we're in the next consolidation. So if this is just a shallow consolidation, just like this, and bulls by the dip, then there can be another move up into, let's take a look here. So if we do break that prior high, we are likely looking back to the high of this zone. So let's take a look at this zone, and we'll have to see the volumes traded in that zone. So essentially, we pull up the volumes and we drag that across roughly here. Actually, maybe a little bit over there. All right. And then we take a look. So this just shows us where the most volume is traded in that zone. So this is the low of that zone where it has the most of the volume, and this is the high of that zone. And this red line just means that the most volume traded within that zone. You can see the bar here is the biggest bar of these bars. And you can see outside of the blue lines, you can see these bars are a lot smaller, meaning they have less volume in that zone. And then we look at it and we just line over because we will likely be testing this zone. and that is a little bit too far for us because that would be, I mean, 3.3%. I mean, if we go up another 3.3%, it would be a little bit extended for me, although we are already overbought. I don't even have to pull out an indicator. We know that the RSI is likely overbought already. Over 70 just means overbought. And the reason I don't use indicators as much when I do the analysis is because indicators are usually lagging indicators. So as long as we look at the price action, we already know what the indicators are telling us. All right, so before this level, I'm looking down at this level, which is this high. Right there. You can see we could not get over it at least a week and a half over here, and which coincides with the bottom of this. So once you are above this zone, it's going to act as support. So you can see that when you come down here, we have bounced off of it here twice, another twice over here again. And you can see once we broke through it, we had a waterfall there. So that level, like I said, resistance now because we're under it. So that would be roughly from the highs, reasonable 2.4%. So that's going to be my next level of strong resistance. Obviously, maybe we might not just shoot straight up there. It could be resistance in the zone, but this is the key one. And so obviously we have to break our prior top first for us to even come to this zone. So that's our prior top is going to be our very first resistance. And for the bears, if we drop, where will we drop? So right now we have a hourly downtrend as our guide. So yesterday in my futures video, I talked about I want to see hourly downtrend confirming during the market open. So this is the big move, initial move, and this is the bounce. So now this high is higher than prior pivot high. So that's going to be our pivot, and we drop. So this is the hourly downtrend with not a lot of follow through. I didn't, like this. We broke a prior low, and this is all we got right here. So there's not a lot of follow through, but the bulls haven't taken us above this pivot. If the bulls taken us above that pivot, then the hourly downtrend is gone. So there's no more, and it'll become a neutral trend. So I don't want to see that if you're a bear. If you're a bear, you want to see us break this prior low tomorrow for the continuation of the hourly downtrend. If you are a bull and you want to see, obviously, us break this and then go back into a hourly uptrend, retest this high. And for the bears, I want to see us break this neckline, that 4-hour head and shoulders neckline I'm looking at. So that's roughly around 363. Support and resistance zones are usually a zone, so it's not a definite number. So it's around this area, around 363 and 360 range for the bears. And you can zoom out into the 4 hours to see where that neckline is. So we are under the 4-hour EMA 12. I was talking about this on Friday, Thursday, where it bounces off quite often over here. So that's the first mini resistance for that bears want to break. So we did break that, came back to it. We're just right on it. So potentially we may do a reject from it tomorrow. We're a little bit red after hours, but that's not a big deal. Cash open is more important for me. All right. So we'll see. On the daily, still very healthy. So we just want to be cautious. That's all. As long as we continue playing with the trend, we are golden. But we just gotta be cautious. We are very overbought. That's all. And to not be, scaling in. You don't want to be like scaling in up here. You more likely be scaling out if you're bull, like scaling out of your profits and setting that stop loss. Just like that thing I talked about, where you can set your weekly stop loss under all the lows. So as long as you can just keep writing it. So if you set your stop loss below these lows, you wouldn't have gone stop out at all, and you'd be continuing writing this. So weekly consolidation is not on its way yet. You can see the daily is, right? I showed you guys the prior candle closes below the prior low. So if we get next week, we got to break below this week's low for weekly time frame consolidation to be even on its way. So weekly time frame takes a lot longer so to play out, and we'll have to watch. So that's why we want to see the daily do it first before weekly starts. All right, let's take a look. Let me see what we have here. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. Same thing. S&P 500 4-hour head and shoulders is actually a lot more clear than QQQ because QQQ was a little bit stronger today than the S&P. So this is the left shoulder, the head, and then this potentially the right shoulder if we do drop. this is the bounce, and now we want to see the bears take over again tomorrow if that plays out. So it's an uptrend into a downtrend. If this neckline breaks, which is this roughly, let's see here, that'll be roughly this area, 435 is going to be that neckline. So when it breaks, I want to see volume come in, increasing bear volume, and to be a convincing break for me. And for the bulls, obviously, we want to see this gets negated and gain back its hourly uptrend. Same thing with QQQ. It's in an hourly downtrend, and this is actually a lot weaker. You can see it's trending down from the EME 12. You can see all this rejection is over here, and this bounce is smaller than QQQ's bounce. So this hourly chart is a little bit weaker. So if we do break this low tomorrow, then it's a confirmed head and shoulders pattern, as well as continuation of the hourly downtrend. So tomorrow, bulls want to break above this prior pivot right there. The high would be 438.36 to confirm a hourly uptrend back to the bulls. The bears want to break this prior low for a continuation of the downtrend. So right now we are in a downtrend, so they want to continue it. All right, let's take a look at the big tech stocks to see if it gives more clues on who's going to join who. And so Nvidia, another all-time highs. So let's take a look what the resistance is going to be. Let me see here. I see a little bit of a rising wedge. Let's see if it's a rising wedge or not. Okay. So that potentially accurate resistance, you can see 1, 2, 3 touches. Support is a little bit off. It's not more. It doesn't look like a rising wedge to me because of how much sideways we have gone. Let's see if we go to the bigger time frame, 4 hours. 4 hours. Let's see. Yeah, that could be a rising wedge. So rising wedge is a bearish pattern, if especially up at the Z levels. So if this rising wedge breaks bear, then we're likely come back down to here to test this bottom support. But as of now, we are closed out right at the top of it. So obviously bulls are in full control, and we have zero signs of bears at the moment. Even QQQ was flat today, and QQQ was like slight flat, slight red, and you can see Nvidia is up like over 2%. So that means there's a relative strength compared to the broader market. And we'll see if it turns into relative weakness or not. So early uptrend is going to be my guide. You can see right here. This was the big move of the drop, where the next bounce right here. So you see that the red candle right there? The bears should have been able to take in control and form an hourly downtrend. We didn't even get that. So the very first step of the bears is the hourly downtrend. Nvidia did not even get that. We can see QQQ did, SPY did, but Nvidia didn't. So that means Nvidia is a lot stronger than the index itself, so it's relative strength, and hence why the bulls took over and see the end of the day move. While QQQ was going sideways, this is the move that Nvidia made. And so this rising wedge will be my guide, and as well as just the relative strength, it's going to be my guide. So if I start seeing relative weakness after it breaks bear out of this, then that'll be notable. But if it breaks, if it continues the relative strength, then there's a potential we break even higher. And all actions history, because we can't unless it breaks back down here, then we don't know. There's not a lot of support and resistance to look at, because this is all-time highs, not a lot of past price actions. So yeah, so this rising wedge will be my guide on the 4 hour. It's very clear on the 4 hours. You can see bounce, resistance, 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 bounce, bounce, bounce. Usually it goes like this, drops around, goes higher, 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 grinds higher. It just means every time we break higher, there's just lacking people buyers. Every time we break higher, there's lacking buyers. Every time it goes higher, it's like people don't want to buy anymore. It's too expensive. And then when it gets to one point, it's like, it's too expensive, and we just break bearish. That's usually how it works. The psychology of this pattern is how it works. Obviously, these lines are just guides, and the psychology behind the pattern is what's more important to us. So that was what it means on the rising wedge, especially at this kind of price level where it's a little bit overbought. All right, Tesla, amazing. So let's see, it's still going. Congrats to the Tesla bulls and all of you guys holding Tesla stocks. It's this straight move, daily consolidation. You can see right here we broke real prior low, and this was a play where the RSI on the hourly time frame hit oversold for the first time on this entire move, and the bulls just bought the dip. And ever since then, nobody looked back, and it's still going. And we broke. You don't know what the RSI is, just go in indicators and type relative strength index, and it'll come up, and it'll just be like little lines underneath. If I have time, I'll go over it another day. But so what we're looking at the structure right here. All right, let's take a real quick look at the structure. So we are getting close to it. So we do next resistance for me, next strong resistance for me, it's this level right here. You can see, obviously there is some volume here as well. You can see the volume traded down here. It's also quite notable. It's not like it's just a mini bar, but you can see these three bars are volumes a little bit lower, and we just got to the bar where it's starting to increase in volume in this area. So that's exactly where we closed at, and we just didn't have enough time to test more levels because we closed literally at the all-time highs. So that means there's probably likely when it closes at all-time highs, it means there's likely a chance there we can continuation. Close at all-time low, obviously continuation of the low, but it's not definite. But let's just say probably increase. So that's the next level. This level is exactly the level we want to break for the bulls to go up to this 284. If we do break today's high, which is 274. So we'll see if we break today's high. For the bears, honestly, I wouldn't short it until I see some weakness. But yeah, absolutely zero weakness. 4 hour, let's see, EMA 12 is still bouncing off of 4 hour 12 EMA. This is the teal looking line. Bounce, 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 bounce. Came down to it, but came back right away to it. So that's to consider another bounce. Bounce again right here. So as long as this 12 EMA holds, full bull control guide. I've been talking about this 12 EMA for the past like 3-4 weeks, and it's still holding. So we just have to keep that guide for full bull control. For bears, you want to see us break below it, and a candle close below it for it to confirm a break, as well as bull volume, bear volume. Sorry. So we'll see. If not, then just let the bulls do this thing, right? You don't want to short a bull train into your face because this is just, yeah. All right, let's take a look at Apple. Apple, not much to look at. All-time highs, same thing. 2-day EMA 12 is my guide. Been talking about this EMA 12 tail looking line for 2 days time frame. Forever, it just holds and holds and holds. Never breaks. Don't short the stock. And this is like the biggest guy you don't want to go against fighting. And just let it do its grind. It's just continuation of its uptrend until we see a weakness where it changes. Then we can start maybe looking for a short. But before that, none of that hasn't. But obviously, we are also overbought, so we gotta be cautious about adding long. You can add long for intraday scalp play, but don't just scale in at all-time highs. So we see some more consolidation pullback. Amazon, same thing, just chop zone. So that little chop zone we've been talking about for a couple of weeks. So we are pretty strong in the morning. I remember during the market open, I was looking at Amazon, and it was just lead both. But then after the end of the day, just started to giving it all back. So essentially, we just tested this top again, right there. It's triple top. You can see this 127.4 zone, even right here, 127 for this 2 days. We can't get over it, and today is that exact same spot. So as long as we can't get over that, Amazon's not going anywhere. So this is the zone at 127, and we tested EMA 12 again today. So you can see we bounced off of here, Now we test it again. So if we do break through that tomorrow, that's a good win for the bears. And for the bulls, obviously it's that 127 range. I'm gonna break above to test this prior high. If we do break through that 12 EMA, I'm looking back down here at 1223, which is this prior support zone right there. We'll see which way it breaks. Right, Google, the weakest of them, very close to confirming a daily downtrend. Move down, pivot high, set. Now, if we do break this prior pivot low, that's a daily downtrend confirmed. That's 121.5. It's the exact low right there from Thursday, June 8th. So we'll see. All right, I have 17 seconds left. So let's take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft move is this pullback is big enough where it can potentially shape up a downtrend now if we do bounce shallow the next bounce. All right, that's all I got for you guys. If you subscribe, you made it this far, and I will see you guys tomorrow.